We all know that the best levels in video games are those levels where you have to carry someone else and you're not able to shoot because you have them on your back, and Halo doesn't have any of those levels. So what if at the beginning of Halo 3, when Master Chief yeets himself from outer space and crash lands onto Earth, they couldn't fully unlock his armor and his legs are still locked and kind of broken? Well, that would mean only logically that the Arbiter would have to carry Master Chief all the way through if they ever wanted to finish the fight, and this is the premise of this video that Luke and I decided to actually put ourselves through. Yes, we are doing Halo 3 Piggyback. Today we are looking if we can complete Halo 3 Piggyback only. Okay, so for this run, we had to come up with a way to keep this challenging and different, while also maybe possible at the same time. So essentially, if we're going off of the premise that Master Chief breaks his legs or locks up his legs from his nosedive into Earth, and the Arbiter is now going to have to carry him. So for this, Master Chief's armor will be, in theory, locked up only to the point where he is only eligible to jump. He can move his ankles just a bit to jump high enough, but he is not able to walk whatsoever or drive any vehicles. Yeah, he won't be able to hit the gas pedal, too much leg movement. On the other hand of this challenge, because the Arbiter is going to be forced to carry Master Chief everywhere, he's not going to be able to shoot because his arms are going to be tired. This even includes when Master Chief is not standing on his head, because Arbiter's arms are going to need to, get some rest every once in a while. And honestly, while this was a very interesting concept to say the least, it actually ended up being much more challenging than we initially expected. So let's go ahead and jump into Sierra 117, where this whole thing begins. Right off the bat, as soon as we jumped into it, we ran into our first serious problem, these darn ledges that are just put at the very beginning of the level so players can learn how to jump. In this first level, I was playing as the Arbiter and Luke was Master Chief, and using a scientific method, I moved forward quick enough to get momentum, and then I tried to immediately stop and walk backwards so that the Master Chief, still with his forward momentum, will utilize inertia to make his way onto the first ledge. And this is actually a strategy we're going to have to use quite a few times if we're going to make it through this run, and it was kind of good we figured it out right away. Honestly, it was kind of annoying because there were so many ledges, and at times where Chief just wasn't standing where I needed him to, I just utilized Arbiter's big hooves to kind of push Master Chief in the right place. This was so that Luke wouldn't fall back down the ledges right after I finally worked on getting him up there. Making our way through the opening area, we got a little bit concerned at this tree branch section, but it ended up being okay because the Arbiter just smacks Chief onto the ledge. We then got to the first wave of enemies, and this was a little interesting because I can walk around, I can freely move, but it actually comes down to Luke being able to do all of the fighting. And similar to our no walking runs of other Halo games, it's kind of tricky how combat changes significantly when you can't walk around and move around enemies. The Brute was kind of scary. We pushed forward a little bit more and got to a new ledge, and this ledge was actually too high, which means we would have to implement a brand new strategy. After thinking what possibilities we had, we thought of a new idea that would have Master Chief and the Arbiter have the ultimate bro moment, where they would use a chest bumping strategy when both of them jump and chest bump at the same time to push Master Chief onto the ledge that he needs to be on. It's just like a fan fiction writer's favorite maneuver. It's a little untraditional, but it works for getting us past some ledges. Throughout the process of this, we also noticed how crooked Arbiter's head is. Luke specifically commented on this multiple times just because jumping on the head of the Arbiter and trying to place the Arbiter in the right place so Chief lands perfectly centered is a little bit confusing. We continued on, and there was more sections where we were just avoiding rocks that would knock Luke off, and other sections where we had to drop down and trying to balance the Chief on the Arbiter's head like some sort of circus performance. Also along the way, we noticed rats on this level, something we've never seen before. Kind of interesting, I guess. We push on to the section where Cortana rudely interrupts us, and it seems like any ledge knocks the Chief off, needing for the Arbiter to go back through and pick him up again. It started to get really frustrating with just how many times Chief constantly fell off. And at the same time, Luke mentioned that the game kind of felt like a really poor on-rail shooter, and then ammo, of course, is a problem, as Luke has to be sure to grab stuff when he falls off. Otherwise, we just tried to run past the big hordes of enemies and kind of hope for the best. Towards the end section of the level, there is a section where all of these Marines are around, and they're actually really toxic because they just get in our way and make everything harder. But otherwise, we were able to clear the first level of Halo 3 with the piggyback mechanic. So then we jumped onto Crow's Nest, and this time around we switched perspectives just to mix things up up a bit. So I'm Master Chief now, and Luke had to play as the Arbiter. And when we're going through all of the doors on Crow's Nest, and trust me, there's a lot of them, I had to constantly be crouching down and coordinating with Luke to crouch at the same time so we wouldn't fall off. And for some reason, at one of the doors, when standing on the Arbiter, Chief just randomly ascended and started floating. It was really awkward. I guess we discovered a new glitch, an annoying glitch because it kind of slowed us down and messed up our run, but an interesting glitch nonetheless. Honestly, some of the doors are really funny how tight the squeeze really is. We just imagine Master Chief's head grinding against the roof as we go through, and it is annoying to have to reset constantly, so we have to kind of be careful with the doors because we don't want to fall off. And then I have to sit there and jump and wait for Luke to line up the Arbiter, and since there's always amazing netcode in the Master Chief collection, it's the easiest task in the world. When we got down to the hangar, we utilized the turret to clear out the enemies there, and there wasn't too many problems until we got to the buggers, and we had to make sure we killed all the buggers to be able to push on forward. This level has so much backtracking, so it mostly just consisted of us walking from one end of a hallway to another. There was a bunch of brutes we had to fight, which was terrifying because you can't move to get into cover. Seriously, it can get pretty chaotic, but we managed to get through pretty far. Luke did abandon the Master Chief at the elevator, which was pretty cruel, but otherwise the Master Chief does his best job at taking out all of the enemies along the way. And then after some more backtracking and then making our way into an elevator, we were able to clear this level as well and move on to Savo Highway. And while the first two levels were going somewhat smoothly, even though they are very time consuming, we knew that some of these later levels were going to actually introduce some major problems. And while we were relatively optimistic about Savo Highway, the levels that are going to follow are definitely going to cause some massive problems along the way. But hey, we get to just enjoy Savo Highway first, so switching perspectives once again, I pushed Luke into the garage and then drove a Warthog over to Luke, picking up Master Chief. I did some great parallel parking, almost running over Master Chief in the process. And honestly, this level is just a pretty nice drive all in all. You just kind of can drive through some stuff, chilling, seeing the scenery of this, war-torn Earth. We got to the part in the bridge that we really wanted to take the Warthog forward on, just because driving Luke in a Warthog is way easier than trying to balance the Master Chief on the Arbiter's head. We decided to back up and try to get a driving start. Unfortunately, backed up too much and oofed us, so we tried it again, and it didn't work either. So unfortunately enough, we were going to have to go up the classic way and try to get forward to some of the other vehicles we could maybe utilize. Fortunately enough, there's a Wraith not too far away. I was able to hijack it, and there's a nice little car seat in the middle of the Wraith that the Master Chief is able to sit in. And other than that, we just used the Wraith and drove all the way to the end. But then we were heading into the Storm, the first level that has a Scarab. And since the Arbiter can't shoot but can walk, we're gonna have to do some weird coordinating if we're gonna find a way to possibly take out that Scarab when only one player can shoot and only one player could walk. Well, jumping into it, honestly, we used the Warthog to drive up and have the Arbiter go and open all of the doors so we could fit the Warthog through. Honestly, you can also add this to the list of things we didn't know about the Storm. I mean, we didn't know you could actually bring the Warthog with you at the beginning of this level. Then, of course, if you tie that back to the other things we don't know about the Storm, I don't know. The Storm seems like this mysterious level that just keeps on giving as we learn new things about Halo 3. So otherwise, we pushed through the level, getting to the area where we had to clear the enemies out for the Scarab. Now, we had several different concept ideas as to what we could possibly try if we were going to work together to maybe take the Scarab out. Our first plan was maybe a little crazy, but we thought we could use the Warthog to shoot the legs out of the Scarab, then drive the Warthog maybe up or get it close enough where we can take out the back. But unfortunately, stuff happened to the Warthog, so we didn't have a Warthog anymore. So plan B was next, Mongoose and rockets. All right, this didn't work either. Plan C, use the elevator trick and try to get on using the Mongoose. It almost worked. We tried it once again and still didn't have the most success. So then we thought, what if we tried using these missile launchers over here and do something with those? As the Master Chief, I jumped on the turret and took out the legs, and then Luke would come in the Mongoose and drive me to the Scarab. Now the Scarab's just slightly too high to easily jump in, so we did the chest bump trick, and we were finally inside the Scarab, and then instantly we were dead. Honestly, we still don't know what actually killed us. It was so frustrating to get that far and then just die. But not being discouraged, we decided we would try the same trick again, but this time when I shot the legs off the Scarab, it just did this. It just sat there. I don't know why. It was really annoying. So finally, finally, after 7 whole tries and different attempts, we finally got a run to work where we were able to push our way up into the scarab, take out the battery, and Luke abandoned me and left me in the scarab and I died. However, Luke managed to survive, so I could respawn on him and we continued on. However, it would have been really nice if he would have, not just abandoned me inside the scarab. Then we had one of the weirdest glitches, maybe? We're not really sure what to call this. We think it's a glitch, but it really also looks like the game working the way it maybe should be working. We don't really know. But essentially, in the next area, there's all of these construction workers and Marines who are supposed to help you out. And we noticed if we stood in this corner, these construction workers move up at the same time, all crouched like turtles, and they just went up and wrecked the hunters for us. I mean, we were kind of nervous how we were going to take out the hunters, trying to shoot the back when we can't really move easily. But we have this little army of soldiers here that are just doing the work for us. And honestly, we haven't spent too much time on Halo Wars just yet, but we'd like to think this is what the game is like exactly. So we moved up to the brutes, and honestly, look at all of these guys. It's so funny. We've never seen all of these guys just moving up for us. Is this another secret about the storm we don't know about? Please, someone let us know what's going on here. Anyways, pushing forward, we had a little trouble getting up the hill to take out the big gun. We did shoot it a bunch, but we couldn't get the right angle, so then I died and respawned with better guns, and Luke walked Chief around to the area where the Chief could get a better angle, and we were able to finish off the gun at the end, beating this level once and for all, and making it to Floodgate, our first encounter against the close quarters Flood. And oh boy, the Flood is a challenge. So we push forward in Floodgate, making sure to just pay attention to these enemies because not only are there a lot of them, and while they're not really a threat as far as damage-wise, they do knock us off the piggyback often, which can get really annoying. As we push through this level, we did run into that stupid floating glitch again, which was a little bit weird. We did have one moment where Master Chief fell to his death when we were dropping into the flood-infected ship, but otherwise this level, as always, is relatively easy. But honestly, Cortana's going to be something else. Getting to the Ark, we knew this was one of the longer levels in this game, and there was probably going to be some things that we're also going to have to face that would maybe be a little bit challenging. The early section has the sniping area, which we did the best we could, having me stand on top and shoot where I could, but the main problem is with the Arbiter being put up higher up over the rocks. It made the enemies really aware that I was there, so they would shoot me and constantly de-scope me. So this part was actually a lot harder than we thought it would be, but we just tried to push through and avoid the next wave of enemies, and when we got to the next area, Luke pushed me through the door, then ran down to grab a mongoose and come back to pick me up. So boom, now we're cruising. We got the mongoose. We can just drive right through this level, and just as I was warning Luke to watch out for those choppers that will splatter us, we got splattered by a ghost of all things. Great. So then we were back to the drawing board. This time we tried again, but we decided to go after a prowler, and it actually worked really well, and it helped a lot against the tanks that we had to take out later on in the level. From there, at the midway point in the level, they drop us off a tank, and we were happy to have the tank for the short time we actually did get to use it. But after getting past the tank section, we did a little bit of piggyback parkour, even though it wasn't necessary, but we thought that was the direction we were supposed to go. And then we had to walk through just a few corridors to get to the outdoor area where we would have to face off against the new scarab. There's a lot of ducking involved. From there, we hopped in our new tank and happily took out the scarab from there without having to do any of those crazy tricks we had to do back on the storm. And now we were kind of facing the last stretch of this level where we had to do one more indoor section, and the final fight section took us a couple of tries because there's enemies literally everywhere. They have these jetpacks. There is a chieftain with invincibility and a gravity hammer, and I'm just stuck standing there trying to find a way to kill him when he's invincible, and it's a little bit stressful. And it was in this last section of this level we ran into a weird glitch or occurrence that makes it really hard for Master Chief to stand on top of the Arbiter. At first we thought it was the ceiling maybe glitching out, but as we walked around a little bit, we realized that no matter what we tried doing, whenever the Master Chief would jump on top of the Arbiter, he would slide off. It was almost like the Arbiter was extra slippery here for some reason, like he was super sweaty from carrying the Master Chief around all day, but it was really annoying because we couldn't actually do the piggyback anywhere in this last firefight section, so it just came down to having to push the Master Chief everywhere, but we were able to clear this level as well. Well, next we were moving on to the Covenant, and this time we hoped the Arbiter would at least take a shower before we continued on so we wouldn't be slipping around. And actually, we saw a lot of success in the early section of this level. We just decided to go straight past all of the enemies on the beach and just walk up the hill to where the first tower is, and we had the longest stretch of this entire run where we didn't have to reset because one of us messed raced up the piggyback. It was just a nice, smooth walk up the hill. We then hijacked a ghost, and I just used the ghost to drive Luke inwards. Then I walked in, running past all of the enemies, desperately trying to make my way to the elevator while Luke just peacefully waited outside. And once I was able to hit the elevator button, it teleported Luke to me, which was a nice short skip we were able to use to go straight to the brute battle. And this time around, I gotta give a little bit of payback to Luke for making me fight off against those brutes in the Ark. So I just threw Luke in the middle of the fight and let him go ahead and fight all the brutes. It's a little awkward because I'm not able to shoot the brutes that are between us, so I just gotta stand there, watch, and wait for Master Chief to do his job. But I was able to press the button, moving on through the level, and essentially I just carried Luke out, dodging enemies to get on the mongoose outside. And at this point I was feeling a little bit like a chauffeur, because then after a little mongoose drive, we have a little hornet drive. We got inside the other tower we were supposed to get into, and this time we were walking around Piggyback to try to find the elevator at the same time because there was more enemies and I needed the extra firepower. And while we were looking for the elevator, we actually made this lap all the way around the room because we got lost, and then we finally found the ramp going up to the elevator, taking us up. This time around, my strategy was to just drop Luke off in the middle and hide where he did all the work. Good luck. And it actually kind of worked out more or less. Getting back outside, we have the section we have to drive in on the tank and face off against the two scarabs, and Luke decided to ride with a marine instead and a gauze hog, so I was behind in a tank. And then of course, just like typical Halo 3 fashion, Luke's marine decided just to drive off into the sunset. From there wasn't really anything too special about this run. Our main strategy was to just try to take out the scarab with the tank because it seemed to be the easiest way to do it, because if we used a hornet or something else, it could be a little more confusing, and for some reason the hornet makes the scarabs kind of dance around in a circle. We then made our way into the final bridge section and wrapped up this level as well, just using mostly the same strategies we already had been using. And then we got to Cortana, and oh my god, was this level so annoyingly hard. Okay, this level has so much close quarters stuff going on, and there's so many enemies that just jump at you, and as the shooter here on this level, I'm just supposed to shoot everything and somehow survive. This level is really based on your ability to be able to move around and fight the flood in a somewhat dodgy form, and while we struggled enough as it was when we did this level without shooting, at the very least we both were able to punch and throw grenades. But this time I had to not only protect myself but also protect Luke, and I can't walk to get away from the enemies. I'm kind of just stuck in one place to clear the enemies because otherwise the flood will knock me off if I jump on top of Luke. There were a lot of moments where I just died and we had to go all the way back, and this one was just a grind. There wasn't one specific thing that was especially hard. It was just a matter of the fact that this level was just tedious to play through here. There was a moment where there was a couple of gaps that we were a little bit nervous about passing that we had struggled with in our other types of runs in the past, but we ended up clearing those by just picking up momentum and dropping Chief onto the next gap. And otherwise, we were able to clear this level. The worst part by far was the bad Halo 3 netcode that made a lot of latency between what we were doing, and when you're trying to balance someone on your head and line things up, when the game is lagging your inputs, it can get really frustrating, especially the longer the level goes on. There was also a few moments where I accidentally maybe killed Luke multiple times. I did this really cool shield strat also, thinking it would maybe help me survive longer, but I ended up getting stuck in it, so that was a little awkward. I eventually found the right angle to punch them, but they can regenerate, so I had to kind of figure that one out. But we did clear Cortana, so we were at least happy with that, and we're happy to move on to the final level, which would be the ultimate challenge, as we would have to face off against the flood some more, this time while climbing up a building. And that was actually a major concern we had going into Halo, because on this level you have to wrap your way up a building while flood attacks you, and we were pretty confident that there was a likely chance we would get knocked off the building when trying to balance stuff and jump around while the flood was attacking. So we wanted to try to do one of the skips that we had done in the past, which is where we do a little grenade jump on the side and then another jump and climb straight up to the top and just do the firefight from there. So after clearing out the enemies in the opening area, we quickly did a double jump to get Luke up onto the platform. From there I would jump off the cliff, respawn, and then we would wrap around to where the next jump is. Luke would throw a grenade at my feet since I'm not able to throw grenades as the Arbiter, and bounce me up to the upper level. He would respawn on me, and then I could just push him up to the very top section, which then he could go ahead and fight all the enemies at the top, granting us access to the inside of the level. Now we probably could have just done it the normal way, wrapping around, but we just felt like this way was, well, the more I think about it, it probably took longer for us to finally get these these jumps to work. But in theory, it could have been faster had we been more competent and better at Halo. Anyways, we got to the part with 343 Guilty Spark, and it was actually kind of interesting because we have to worry about the Oracle shooting at us, but we still have to go and pick up the Spartan laser. And I'm not able to shoot the Spartan laser, but I am able to walk. So my strategy was to go up to the Spartan laser Johnson drops and trade the Spartan laser with whatever gun I am holding, and then kind of drop it and pick up the next gun over and over and over again until eventually the Spartan laser was close enough to Luke to pick up, where from there he could kill the Oracle. We then pushed through the last section of the level. We had a little bit of difficulty getting over the little ice rock here just because it's slippery and there's some jumps involved, but we did bounce our way up through it. We cleared the hallway section and we were going on to the final Warthog run, and just for the sake of doing it a little bit differently, we decided to take a mongoose for this run, which actually went pretty smoothly other than us getting in the wrong seats by accident at one point. That was kind of awkward, but otherwise we were able to complete this mongoose run and all of Halo 3 piggybacked. This one was a really interesting challenge. We definitely did not expect it to be nearly as difficult as it ended up being. We thought this could maybe be something we did all of the Halos in one single video like we had in the past, or some of the Halos, but obviously this became way more challenging than we thought, so it ended up being its own video. But we'd love to hear from you guys. What Halo game would you like to see us do a piggyback challenge on next, or if you have recommendations of other challenges, do let us know. But hey, if you liked this video, be sure to subscribe with notifications on for more videos just like this one. We're really trying to pump out new content and continue to up our game, so we really appreciate all of the support we've gained so far. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can follow me at Rocket Elijah, or you can follow Luke at Rocket Sloth Luke. We'll see you guys all next time with a brand new video. Bye guys.